Good morning, it's me Freddy and welcome to my next tutorial, which is about setting up a Minecraft scene. What this means is we will export our Minecraft world into Cinema 4D and we will make a nice lightning setup. So let's get started. First of all, I will show you Mineways. So Mineways is a free program used to export your 3D Minecraft world in a 3D program like Cinema 4D or whatever you want to use. You can download it on this site for free, so just click on download for PC, hopefully, and then we go. So I will open Mineways for now. You might get this warning, just ignore it. And here we are in Mineways. What we can do here is, first of all, open your Minecraft world you want to export. For example, I will open my single player hardcore world. It's pretty big already, and I want to export this crazy spider, whatever it is. So you can navigate around with your left mouse button, zoom in and out with your mouse wheel, and you can select an area with your right mouse button. So if I select this area, you will see this information window coming up. Just hit yes, export rendering. So normally Mineways will use your standard Minecraft default skin texture pack, sorry. So if you don't want to use the Minecraft default texture pack, you can choose your terrain. So go on File, select Terrain, and you will have to choose your directory where you installed Mineways, which is here in my case. I will now go for the Mesa, for example. Select it and hit open, and now we can go to export for rendering. You will have to choose where I want to save it. I will save it in my tutorials folder and call it world, and you may choose other formats, but I would recommend to stay with Wave OBG Absolute because it works. So hit save and another window will appear. You only need to deselect material per object for a better overview in your scene, and make sure you set the value of make each block to 1000 millimeters. If you have these settings, it should be okay. I don't want to go into detail to the other settings, so just hit OK, and it's exporting your world now. It's finished. I will close Mineways and now start Cinema 4D. Here we go. Okay, good. So I will close the visual selector for now, and what we're gonna do is hit open new file. We will import our OBG file. That's good. So just leave it as it is. 1 meter per block is exactly what we want, and hit OK. First of all, I will select all and make group, Alt G, call it world for a better overview. So what we see here is our nice blocky landscape, but the textures are not here. That's not a problem. What we need to do is double click on our material and first of all disable specular. We don't need it, it looks awful. Then go to your color channel and choose your texture. Go in your folder and choose the world RGBA texture. Hit OK. Yes. And we will go to set the interpolation to none because we don't want any anti-aliasing. We want a nice blocky look. Okay. Then we will have to activate alpha channel and choose our world alpha texture. Say yes, also choose none interpolation, and to make the alpha channel working, what we need to do is disable the alpha picture, and now our alpha channel is working. So with that it should be fine, but if you want to make it look better in the editor, what you're gonna do is go to editor and select your texture size. We will make it to 512 because that's exactly what the texture is in size, and now it looks quite better. So with that settings we have made up our materials, and yeah, we can see a nice Mesa texture. I just asking if it looks better with one. Does it? It does. Oh, okay. So for the Mesa texture we will have to choose 1024. For the standard texture of Minecraft you would have to choose 512. So now it looks really good, and that's what we want it to look, but it still looks really not good if we render it, and that's because we have no lights in our scene. What we can do now, and we will do, is create a physical sky. A physical sky makes a nice basic lightning, but I'm not going to use it anyway. So if we render it now, it would look like this. Right, it's rendering. So it looks much better than before, no question, but what we see here are really hard and dark shadows. So how can we adjust this? The easiest way to do this is add an ambient object. You can adjust the lighting of the entire scene. So I will put it up to a value of, let's say, 20, and I will try to choose the same color as the sun gives us, because the shadows are long, the sun is going down. It's something about a nice red orange. Okay, and if we render it now, as we can see already, we have a slight difference, and the shadows are a little bit brighter, and we have a little bit of our nice, a little bit more of our nice red orange color. But however, let's say I don't want these hard shadows. So what can we do? And now I will show you what I usually do, and this is disable the sun object, and we will make our own sun. So how do we do that? We will create a light and try to put it somewhere at the place where the sun would be. Okay, that would be somewhere here, I guess. So, and what we will do is make our light to an area light. So go to area, and if you click T on your keyboard you can scale it up, and what we are doing now is a really big area light. Well, maybe not that big, but so. And of course we need to adjust the same color, so a nice looking red, kinda orange, and we need shadows, and what I'm using is always the area shadow because it just works on the best way. I will set it to 95% because the shadows actually are quite hard when the sun goes down. And yeah, I will put the intensity to 150 to make it more realistic. So, and if I render this picture now, you will see some difference. So hit STRGR. As you may have noticed, it looks quite a lot different than it did before. Our shadows now are really soft, and well, depends on what you want. If it looks better to you, leave it as it is. If you don't like that, well, then we can adjust it. And now we come to the part why I love the area light. So let's say we don't want the shadows that soft. What can we do? It's really simple. You only need to select your area light and scale it down a little bit more. I will scale it down like this, and watch closely what happens now to our shadow. As we can see, the shadow now is a little bit harder again, and it's really great that the area light gives us so much control. So basically, if you have a big light, the shadows will be soft. If you have small light, the shadows will be hard. Okay, but however, the scene doesn't really look so super perfect. What can we do to give it a even nicer rendering? So there are two more things we can adjust in our render settings. So if you open your render settings and go to effects, we will choose ambient occlusion. What ambient occlusion does is it adds shadows on the edges where shadows would normally be. So I will show you on this picture a render. So look what we have here. I hope you can see it. Besides our normal shadows from the area light, we have little shadows on the edges here in the flower, and here on this edges, even over there. You may not really notice it, but I will show you the difference. If we hit now disable ambient occlusion, and if we now render our picture again, we will see a clear difference. So this is with ambient occlusion, this is without ambient occlusion. You see the difference? I'm sure you see. I hope you can see it. So here we have some nice shadows on the edges, which is realistically good, and here we don't have them. So what ambient occlusion does is it adds shadows where they would normally be, on edges and stuff. But what you also may notice is that all the flowers look kinda weird. Why is this? It's because ambient occlusion does not recognize alpha channel texture. So because we have an alpha channel texture here, you can see it really good on here, for example. So what this flower is, it are just two planes. So we have two planes with an alpha channel texture, and ambient occlusion just notice that there are two planes and makes the shadows on, well, where the plane contacts to the ground, or in that case where the plane of the tree contacts to the wood, and that's not fine. So what can we do against this is we could choose, for example, this and the flower, and for the grass it's okay, but so not for the flowers and trees. what we can do is right click and give it a Cinema 4D render tag, and now we can say visible for ambient occlusion. No. Now that it's not visible for ambient occlusion, it will look a little bit better. As we see now, this kind of buggy piece from before disappeared, but we still have our ambient occlusion. Just one way to fix this. However, there are still some other things we can do to make our rendering look better, and now we're gonna use global illumination. So go to Effects in your render settings and choose global illumination. What global illumination does is it calculates the sky as well the lights as the color of the sky to your rendered image, and it also calculates some reflections, which means that light will be, for example, here where it would be in realistic world, but yeah, it only happens if you use global illumination. So the best settings I found for global illumination is if you hit AC plus QMC and then you choose the lowest settings under sampling and under irradiance K, so low, because it works and it's the fastest way. So if I want to render this picture, for example, we will see how it looks like. Come on, render in Picture Manager. So here we see how it's calculating the lights, and it's going quite fast actually. And as we see, our tree is bright. Well, not as bright as on this side of course, but you can still see some details. So how would it look without global illumination? Just to compare, I'll have to wait until this is finished. Here we go, and we see on our picture this is without global illumination, and this is with global illumination. We can see a really big difference. So with global illumination it's just a lot brighter, without it's really dark. So global illumination calculates the sky to your image and makes it look a bit more realistic. So I would recommend use it if you have a strong PC. If not, try to play around with your ambient object and maybe it will do kinda same effects. This is what global illumination does and how to use it. But we still might want to use another render setting, and I'm talking about anti-aliasing. What anti-aliasing does is it cleans up the edges and makes them a little bit softer. So I will show you on an example. What I always choose is best anti-aliasing. 2 times 2 is absolutely enough, and filter Pol NTSC. I never used one of the others, but I like Pol NTSC and I'm using it always. So if I'm going to render this picture out, yeah, here we have our nice looking picture with anti-aliasing, and in the background it's already rendering without anti-aliasing. I'm not sure if you can see this, but well, actually there is a big difference. Without anti-aliasing it looks really pixely and ugly. especially the edges. As you can see that this looks, I know I'm at 400%, but it looks just awful, and you can even see that 100% original size. If we use our anti-aliasing, let's come here, you can really notice that there is a big difference. So keep that in mind, and I know this tutorial was a little bit long, but it's really important to me that you understand what these effects and settings are doing and why you want to use them. So now we have our great lightning scene, and in our next part of the tutorial series we will go ahead and look at how to plan your shots, which is really important. But more to this next week. So stay tuned and have a nice day.